So, hello everyone. My name is Anshul. I'm the founder and CEO of Excel Web Technologies. And today we have Gautam with us. Gautam is founder of AI Sensei.
Hi everyone, this is Gautam and I'm the founder of AI Sensei. So AI Sensei is a platform, basically where you can connect chatbots, you can have a WhatsApp CRM, and you can do WhatsApp marketing, you can broadcast messages.
So let's start. So Gautam, tell me about your journey. How did you started and how did you came into chatbot fields?
So, talking about the journey, it was in college itself. When we were in college, we thought that we need to do something, and then when we were discovering things, we got to know about chatbot. At that point of time, Facebook chatbots were very very prominent. So we started with Facebook chatbots. We started pitching Facebook chatbots. We got to know in the Indian market, Facebook chatbots weren't much required, but web chatbots were very much required, and we shifted to web chatbots. Then 2.5 years we sold web chatbots to educational institutions corely, and then we started expanding to multiple sectors, and then we felt a need of WhatsApp chatbots in around last year around August September, and so we started building this platform called AI Sensei. We were since we have been 2.5 years in the industry, so we could bring the juice of our learnings to this platform of what all we have seen in SaaS industry, in the chatbot industry, live chat industry, and so this platform is juice kind of our learnings, what we have been doing from the last 2.5 years in this industry, and yeah, so that is how AI Sensei. So we launched it in November, and it's been going good till then. Yeah, people have been loving it.
That's awesome. That's really nice. So I'll tell you about my story. So I started actually back in 2017 when the chatbot was very new back then. Facebook just launched Messenger chatbots, and I realized that this is something great. And I started building Facebook bots on a freelancing platform, and then soon I realized that this is something which people are looking for, and it is going to be huge demand in future. So then I was working on for a different company. I resigned from that company. I started this chatbot development company called Excel Web Technologies. And then soon we discovered another tool called Dialogflow. It was called API.ai back
Right,
then.
right, right. It was
So
called.
yeah, API.ai, correct. So we started using that one because it was free. So other tools were like monthly subscription. So most of the clients were not looking for monthly. So we started exploring API.ai, and then later on Google acquired it. It worked really well, and we have like kind of built our expertise around API.ai, and that's what we started doing, building chatbots using Dialogflow, which is API.ai now is it's known as Dialogflow, and we built some expertise around that, and then we hired some people, trained them. I created some Udemy course, YouTube course, videos, and that really worked well for us, and we get some very good clients out of them. So yeah, that's been my journey.
Right. So you have been working a lot in the freelancing industry, freelancing sector, and I would like to know more about how many projects you have completed in the freelancing industry, and how do you get those projects. It's something really to learn for the freelancers, because I think you have done pretty much good amount of work in the freelancing industry. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So I have spent almost 5 years in freelancing industry. So
Amazing.
I would say, yeah, I have some tips. So basically, and foremost thing is you need to get experience. Initially, it is very difficult to get experience. So for new freelancer, I would say start doing things for free. Maybe some clients like some your relatives or someone you can just approach. If you are a new freelancer, just approach them. Say, hey, I can build you a website. Would you like to try it? Or I can build a chatbot for you. Just get some experience, build some portfolio, and then once you build that portfolio, you can showcase to your new clients, and then you can start charging money. And yeah, show your expertise on different channels like LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you can. Build something, showcase on different platforms. Showcase yourself as an expert in whatever you are doing, and
Right.
then people will come to you. You don't need to approach people. People will come to you, and whatever you ask, people will actually pay. If they can, it is very important to build trust. I think if you can somehow build trust with the clients or people, then they will definitely come to you.
Right.
That is
Right.
my advice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
So tell me, so you have also worked as a freelancer, right? So do you have any inputs for
So I think we are on the other side of this game. So you have been corely into freelancing, and we have been corely in reaching out to brands into B2B sales. So it's completely, I think, two phases of how you want to run a business. Okay, so you can either go on with just freelancing and focusing on that, and or you can just keep hitting up big clients, keep reaching out to people, and keep building that audience on LinkedIn and doing stuff like that. So I think I've been on the other side of this. That more majorly our business has come from content, the content I create on LinkedIn, or whatever I share, or more majorly outbound lead generation. So we reach out to people on LinkedIn, and we showcase our services. We tell them that this is what we provide, and that is where we have been driving business from. Before COVID, it was all that we had to reach out to them in person. Also, we had to meet them in person, and then meet them again and again, and then get the business. So that is how it has been. It's been an amazing experience. It's all about the process. I feel that if you have understood the process of B2B sales, you'll be able to mostly crack it in the whole scenario, be it anywhere. So the process corely involves prospecting, and then reaching out in the right manner, building that relationship, because B2B is not a one person game. You need to know more people in the same organization. You'll have to convince each and every one, right? So it starts with that you understand that you're dealing with people, not a companies, not a, human leaks thing, and it's only people that you're talking to. And after that, you need to understand that if you have convinced even one person, you need to again convince the next person also. You don't leave it to them that they will be convincing everyone. More often it happens because you need to convince one person, and they think, okay, that you build trust with them, and they further carry on that trust. But again, people will come back to you. There will be multiple meetings. So recently also we signed up one good client in the education industry. Every B2B deal I see, it has multiple meetings and multiple people, and again you'll have to build trust, and that is the part of the game that you need to understand. So yeah, that is how it goes.
So Gautam, how do you reach out to these people, in B2B? I think it's very difficult to get hold of such people. So how do you do that?
So see, a lot of thing goes hand in hand. I cannot just say that. I'll tell you, people feel that once you reach out to people, people are not looking on to you. Until and unless you are a brand, people are trying to find factors that they can trust you with. Right. Suppose I reach out to a very big brand. So tomorrow I'll need to actually connect with them on LinkedIn. Okay. I'll have to maintain a good LinkedIn profile so that they can trust me. I'll have to post content on LinkedIn so that again they can trust me. I'll have to tell them, I'll have to share them some case studies so that they can again, it all comes down to the basic factor of trust. And that is where due to that, you'll have to build a lot of things. You'll have to do a lot of setups kind of thing, that you'll have to put up case studies. You'll have to show them what you have done for different clients, right? Even if it is initially you might have to do it for free also for some clients, but thereon then you can then actually reach out to people, and they will start trusting you. Will start sharing them case studies, and that is where the whole you get the skin in the game basically, right? Next is you need a sales team. You need people who will help you with that.
People, yeah, to close the deal. So I would say it doesn't matter if it's a big company or small company. Nowadays, you have to build a brand. You
Yes,
cannot go without building a brand. Because
exactly. That is very
internet has actually leveled the field, so everyone
right.
is on same page
Right.
now. So
Right.
Gautam, tell me about WhatsApp chatbot. What are WhatsApp chatbot and how it is helping brands, and why one should go about WhatsApp chatbot?
So, coming on to the WhatsApp chatbot, before that, I would like to talk about WhatsApp notifications. I think 80%, 70 to 80% people who have signed up on AI Sensei platform, their first use case was notifications. And when we tell them that, okay, with notifications, if you attach chatbot, it is a bumper thing. You can close deals, you can do sales, you can automate support, and do a lot of stuff. Talking about WhatsApp chatbot, firstly, WhatsApp chatbot is simply something that won't require someone to sit behind and do chat with your customers or users. You can answer the questions automatically. You can have some set of defined. So for a fact, it's a Pareto's principle that 80% of the queries are come from the same 20% of questions. So majorly, if I say again that it's like 80% of the users are asking the same 20% of questions. Right, and if you follow that simply means that 80% of the answers are same, and you can automate them. So we kind of in conversation design also, if you read Google conversation design docs, you will find that you can automate 80% of queries quite easier and quite easily, rather than trying to automate 100% of queries. So that is what we focus on: automate those 80% queries, and the rest 20% leave it for the human agent to intervene and take that over, because that aspect is also important. We cannot just cut out human intervention or human support from the whole process, right? Neither the customer likes it, neither the brand like it, and that is how it is. So that is the first thing, so customers get 24 hours 7 support, and WhatsApp is one platform, where it is the most easier for user to be, and you to be also. So basically user is very freely and happily talking to a business on WhatsApp today. The next part is sales and boosting lead gen, sales, reducing your drop off, recovering abandoned carts using WhatsApp notifications. And I think WhatsApp notification is one thing that has come here to replace email and SMS. If anyone is asking that us, what is your aim, what is your goal, we simply tell them that we're trying to become the MailChimp of WhatsApp marketing, right? So that is what the aim is, because we see that major customers come for notifications, they want to shoot out notifications, but the question comes is, I shot a notification to suppose 1,000 people, 2,000 people, but this is not email or SMS where I won't get replies. This is WhatsApp. I will get an instant reply. And when I'm getting an instant reply, I need to have some people sitting behind. No, you don't need to have someone sitting behind. You can have that chatbot doing the rest of the part, right? So that is where this whole strategy combines, and then you can see your sales growing automatically. You can see your conversions growing automatically. Moreover, you can qualify leads and you can do a lot more stuff. Recently, I've seen one use case coming up which is very good around WhatsApp chatbots specifically, and it is running ads on Facebook and Instagram, bringing and using WhatsApp as a landing channel. So it's something like that. Someone is clicking now on your Facebook ad or Instagram ad, and they reach to your WhatsApp chatbot. So your WhatsApp chatbot is well trained to now carry on those queries. The first benefit here is that as and when you hit that button and start a chat, the business is getting the lead, right? And then you can qualify them further. In reverse, what is currently happening with landing pages? Landing pages, 100 people come to a landing page, they read the whole content, and then they are submitting lead. Around 8 to 10 people submit lead. Here it is totally reverse. They are first submitting the lead without even knowing, and then they are further qualifying everything with conversations basically. So this is a whole game changer, when you see it from that perspective. And if you are a decent enough brand, you'll get that green tick on WhatsApp. You'll get a verified business account, and that trust is very easy to maintain. That okay, this is your official WhatsApp business account, right? So this is how I feel WhatsApp chatbots will change a lot of things in the next 5 years.
So Gautam, can you give some examples of like how industries are using WhatsApp chatbot? Any like specific industry like education or real estate or?
So I'll give you a few examples. Quarterly we see 2 to 3 use cases of WhatsApp marketing and WhatsApp chatbots. The first use case is query solving. Obviously that is the first use case, right? And then you can generate leads and you can solve for query and do stuff. Second use case is in e-commerce, that you can show product details and you can recommend products. So they can simply say, okay, I want something like this, or I want I'm looking for a ketchup if I go to the grocery side, or I'm looking for so and so juice. So if you're looking for someone in the food industry, so and you show them the juice details and you show them the product details, and further on you try to make the sale within the chatbot. So WhatsApp assistant is kind of a replacement for an store executive, right? We go to a store, the store executive helps us, offline store executives help us buy products, right? And WhatsApp assistant is somewhat a replacement to that thing. Moreover, there are 2 more use cases of WhatsApp notifications. One is an abandoned cart recovery, an amazing use case that if someone is left off your cart, they had the intent of buying, they have given their mobile number, they added something to the cart, and now they just left off. So now you actually have that right to reach out to them and say, okay, that these are the products in your cart, would you like to buy? So, and I've seen businesses getting 50% cart recoveries, which is amazing. If you are sending 40 messages, 20 people are buying products by clicking on that message. Next, same use case could be seen in the education industry or the BFSI industry, that there are a lot of application drop-offs, right? You could be filling a course application, or you could be opening a DMAT account somewhere. So if you are dropping off, you get a notification on WhatsApp again that continue the process, go to step 2, go to step 3, something like that. And you just click on a button and go back and join the process again. So these are some major use cases. I think you have been pretty much in the chatbot industry. I would like to know from you, what kind of use cases are you fulfilling? What kind of templates are you bringing out and building, and how are you seeing the market shape?
Yeah, so we are mainly into building chatbots using Dialogflow, and we have also seen like wide variety of customers, like right from education to real estate to entertainment to pawnbroking industry. So I'll give you example of education. So In education sector, we created a chatbot where the chatbot will show some question, give you a couple of options, like one this, two this, and questions could be related to any subject, could be maths, learning English, grammar, and let's say grammar. So you give one sentence, and options could be what is the correct answer, right? And user will just press 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever answer he likes correct. And there are literally many ways in which WhatsApp chatbot can help people. We have seen really good, number of clients from countries like Africa. So people said that like there is not good internet there, so they cannot, build a website or a mobile app. But they all have WhatsApp. It's very easily accessible, and it doesn't require very high-speed internet as well. So
Right.
people are like redefining education and all financial services, all on WhatsApp. Even in India also, people are trying to build use cases on education or doing financial activity. I think ICICI Bank has launched their own WhatsApp
Right.
chatbot where you can check balance and all those things.
Same goes for HDFC. I find HDFC chatbot also really good.
Yes, yes. So you can just say, hey, what's my balance? And you will get your ICICI bank account balance or
Right.
HDFC balance on your chatbot. So yeah, we have done similarly for real estate also. Some of our clients are from real estate sector, so like arranging viewings for people, the scheduling time for viewing or query about apartment. Is it 2 BHK, 3 BHK? What is the cost? What are the amenities are there in the society? Those questions can be easily automated. You don't need a real person to
Right.
answer those type of questions.
Right. Wherever there is qualification, I think people have telecallers for just qualification. Right. So that can be very, very easily automated.
Yeah. So we basically follow a framework called MSO framework. So MSO framework stands for marketing, sales, and operations. So we try to understand the use case of customer, whether they are interested in marketing during using the chatbot, or they are interested in sales using the chatbot, and or if they are just looking for operations like HR activity or internal communication support kind of thing. So based on that, the conversation flow and everything that differs. So that's how we build for clients.
Right, right. So I think we have divided every type of conversation into 2 to 3 parts. I think everything morely is a product. Everyone is selling some kind of product or services. So when it comes to product and services, it could be distributed into product discovery, then product details, and FAQ. So these are the three major segments we break down every chatbot into, and it solves a lot of part for us. Right. If it is a course, we treat it as a product. If it is a service, we treat it as a product. Again, e-commerce product. Right. So yeah, that is how we go through.
Right. So Dialogflow is a really powerful tool for building chatbot, and you have provided integration with Dialogflow.
Right.
So why Dialogflow and why not others?
First, I would like to ask you this question: Why Dialogflow? I think that will answer for it.
Absolutely. So I just love Dialogflow because it's so easy. Don't need a technical knowledge and all those things to build a basic chatbot. FAQ. Just fill some forms and you can build a bot. Plus, if you need some flexibility, like connecting with API, third-party system, let's say you have a database, let's say you have data in spreadsheet or some CRM system, you can easily connect your Dialogflow chatbot with those systems. And you have full power of coding. You have control where you want to hold the code. So that's why we really like Dialogflow. And you can connect it with WhatsApp, with website, with Facebook Messenger. So you have already connected Dialogflow and your AICC platform. Right. Apart from Dialogflow, is there any other platform?
Currently, we are just focused on Dialogflow because so one reason came up, that we were very deep into building chatbots using Dialogflow, and so we preferred going ahead with Dialogflow so that if the customer is asking us to build a chatbot, so we could actually do it. That was the first thing. But essentially, seeing there are some major factors why one should use Dialogflow. The first thing I think is the ease of building a chatbot with Dialogflow. Second thing is the community. You already have a well set community for Google Dialogflow. It is one of the largest communities in any chatbot platform. Right, there are hundreds and thousands of users. I think in even lakhs of users using Google Dialogflow for every sort of projects, right? I've seen, I've got in touch with some college students from US who are doing research, who are building chatbots for their research, and they're using Dialogflow, right? Next thing is it is an NLP platform, right? It is not just a simple basic just chatbot builder where you can just enter some keyword. Right, it's not a basic chatbot builder. It has those AI powers, and if you understand some deep concepts of Dialogflow, you can just build anything you want, right? With connecting the APIs to your backend and doing stuff like that. Third thing and best thing is it is free. So you can scale up for even good enough clients, good enough users in that free tier, and that makes it very easy for us and for anyone who's bringing their own Dialogflow chatbot to just integrate it and connect things. So that is why we preferred giving a Dialogflow chatbot integration at the core, and then moving on to the marketing segment of everything.
Correct. So you brought actually a very good point that it's not a chatbot builder, it's a NLP tool. That means even if you have a mobile app or a website, you can bring that NLP capability
Right.
to your
Right.
mobile app just by
Right.
using Dialogflow and integrating your mobile app. Instead of clicking on buttons and doing all those things, people can now just talk in natural language, and the application will start responding. That's a very good point actually. All right, so let's talk about conversational design. So, any inputs from your side? What do you think of conversational design?
I think it's very. I used to neglect it in the starting, but once I read it and went through it, so we developed our own conversational design philosophies and psychologies on the basis of our experience, and then we went through Google's conversational design, and after that I even taught around 250 professionals, all building chatbots on Dialogflow, conversational design, and everything. I think copywriting is the major aspect of building a chatbot. A chatbot is nothing. It's easier to do the technical part if you see on one hand, comparative to how it looks to the user. Conversational design is more about giving that experience to the user, right? That they feel okay, that they are not talking to some normal just messy chatbot. They're talking to something that entices them. Moreover, it should never be that you try to pretend to be a human. You should be a chatbot, create a persona, create that personality, keep things like that. So that is how you do good conversational design, right? And it is the most important aspect. I would say copywriting and conversational design is something that every chatbot developer should take care of. There are some certain rules and there are some certain things. So I personally prefer Google conversational design guidelines. They have created a good enough set of document for to understand what this whole field is, and how should one go along with it. I'd like to know how do you cater to conversational design. Actually, I went through one of your chatbots that we shared I think last week, and I pretty much feel that you have covered n number of edge cases, and that was super interesting to see someone building chatbot with that kind of perfectness. And because no one is doing that in the industry, that building those edge cases is very important. Keeping a fallback for every different thing differently, it's tough. Firstly, it's tough, okay, and secondly, you need to give that thought process in sense of conversational design. So I would like to know from you that how do you see conversational design, and how do you figure it out, how do you play around with it?
Actually, yeah, I have a couple of points around that. So first thing is like it takes time. It's not a like 1 day or 2 day process to build a chatbot. So you build a chatbot, deploy it to the people talk to it, and then you see the breaking points where the bot is actually breaking, or the edge case scenario, and then you fill those edge cases by adding some intents around that and some context around that. So yes, what we have done is we launched our chatbot, we launched it to people start interacting with it. Every day we used to get email notification of how people are interacting with the bot. And whenever we see the bot is failing, immediately we used to go to Dialogflow, fix those edge cases, and then eventually it became better. So yes, and apart from that, we have a very good set of best practices that we used to follow while building chatbot.
Right.
The first thing is make sure you ask name and you use the name of the user whenever you are doing the conversation.
Right.
That gives a very good impression to the user. Apart from that, use context wherever possible. Context means you remember what the conversation is going about.
Right. That is one of the best things I actually like about Dialogflow. One who understands context, and how, if you are able to move parameters through context, you have almost won the game.
Correct.
Right.
So the problem right now is the bots that the industry is building right now. they are very kind of dumb and kind of dull. You know, it's not giving good impression
Right.
to the people. So we are like trying to
Right.
change that perspective. Like bot should be energetic and should be like joyful. And also, if they start giving, maybe the technology is not there right now, but still, whatever we have with that, if we can give some good impression, you know, if we can bring some empathy in the chatbot, if the chatbot understands, like if someone says saying, "I'm not in a good mood," right? If the
Right.
bot can reply with some good answer, like, "Hey, here is something to cheer you up," or something, instead of just saying, "Sorry, I don't understand that."
Right.
That
Right.
gives a kind of good impression to the user. And
Right.
then, yeah, it is very important you cover edge cases also. Like eventually it happens, it doesn't happen in the one day, but yeah, it's like the bot should be, the user should feel like bot is happy to take the conversation ahead. It's not that just bot is saying yes, no, and then that's it.
Right.
People will not
Right.
feel engaged with the bot.
Right.
So
Right.
that thing we keep in mind. And yeah, I have actually written a blog also about what are some of the best practices
Right.
we need to follow while building the bot. So yeah, I think we are getting there where bots will become really intelligent. But until then, whatever technology we have, we can follow these best practices to make sure people are really happy engaging with the bots.
Right, 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 right. Also, one question that came that you could always choose, right, that building a platform that caters to everything, and then otherwise going to the service side of things, and building chatbots for people. Why did you pick the service side, and rather than catering to a platform and building that?
Yes, so that is very good question actually. So yes, we are a service company which builds custom chatbots for clients based on their
Right,
requirement. And one thing which we have observed is that building a basic conversation flow is very easy. Anyone can just follow the
right,
tutorial and build
right,
it. But when it comes to integration with third-party services,
right,
then it becomes challenging with people. So we have seen a huge demand for that kind of thing. So we realize that there needs to be a company which specialize in this thing, integrating your Dialogflow agent with
right.
APIs and databases and
Yes,
CRM and all
right.
those different systems.
It is actually a very different game. It's not a normal API integration thing, because you are playing with some of the things you have never heard about, right? So any developer comes in and says that I can integrate. It's not that easy, because you need to understand the whole Dialogflow setup first, right? And then you have to go through their APIs.
The other system as well,
Exactly.
which you are going to integrate. And the
Right.
real power of chatbot comes when you are integrated with something.
Right.
If you cannot ask the bank balance, and if the bot cannot tell you the actual balance which is in your account, then
Right.
there is
Right.
no point of that bank
Exactly.
chatbot, right? And
Exactly.
that will happen only when you integrate your banking system with the chatbot.
Right.
So
Right.
integration is really important. So that's why we thought let's build our expertise. We have plans for some SaaS products also, but we will because there is a huge demand. So thought
Right.
let's build a company around that.
Right. Right. Right.
Great. I think it was really great talking to you.
Same here. Same here. It was wonderful talking to
Yeah,
you. Learned
it's
a lot of things.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Great.
So, all right. So, any last message to the viewers, chatbot people who are looking for chatbots for their business?
So it's simply like that when it comes to chatbots, there is a lot of thinking that goes that should we even have chatbots or not. This it is coming. It is already there. People are using chatbots, and they are using it. They are getting benefits, right? So it's something that you put it into place and you get results. I'm not saying that you remove the human aspect of your. People should not think chatbots as removing the human aspect of your brand. People should think it of aiding the human aspect of a brand with a good persona. That is how brands can shape up things and give better customer support to their users, and also boost their sales in return.
Correct, correct. So even I would say same thing because now people are on these messaging platforms and they want instant response.
Exactly. They don't care. Users don't care. They just want their answers, right? I go to Google and I search for something. I don't care. If until and unless I'm getting the answer, I don't care. It is a human. It is a bot or whoever has written it, right? So that is how it goes with bots also.
Exactly. So that's why I think business should start thinking of it because eventually, yeah, every business will have their own chatbot. So
Right.
whoever take the lead, he will get more time to understand how people are interacting, and eventually they will make their bots better.
Right.
So yes, I think we are in very exciting industry,
Obviously.
and all the best to you. Good luck. It was
Same to
really
you.
nice talking to you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot,
All
man.
right. Okay. Thank
Yeah, Shinkar. Great talking to you. Bye.